Hi everyone, my name is Elise Cummings, and today I'm going to be talking about two different websites, two cruise sites. One is Norwegian Cruise Line and P&O Cruises. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip away the elements of each website using a tool on my browser. And I'm going to look at some different areas where the websites will look differently as I strip away each element. So the first website that I'm going to talk about is the Norwegian Cruise Line site, and personally I really like this site. I think it's easy to use, it's very functional, it navigates well, and it's really pretty to look at and visually very interesting. So here is the Norwegian Cruise Line's home page, and as you look at it, I'm really drawn by the large focal point in the middle, which is the scrolling slideshow. And if you look sort of in the bottom left hand corner, you'll see that each different picture scrolls as the viewer of the website is navigating the page. I really like this because I feel like the flow of the water in each photo, or the flow of the complete photo, basically draws your eye to the right hand side of the page, which is where you can search for each element, each vacation spot. There's a lot of different variables that you can enter in and find your vacation very quickly. And I feel like the font and everything in it just really flows together. All of the fonts on the website basically go back to the font in the logo. The colors in the logo are echoed throughout the site. And so I just really like this site, and I think that it's a good one to explore. So the first thing I did was I stripped away the color of the site, which you can see right here. So the colors are all gone. You don't see that nice blue and that nice, turquoise anywhere. The text is still pretty much in color, but you don't see a nice background. It's just that plain white. And over here on the far right hand of the page, you see just a plain gray search docket. And so this is how it looks when the color is completely taken away. So the next thing I did was I took away the images, and you can see that right here. So the large focal point is now gone for the website, which is something I love so much. You'll also notice in the top left-hand corner that that logo is gone that I pointed out earlier. So basically, by stripping away these images, it changes the whole appearance of the site. You still have those nice colors, but they're not echoed in the logo or in the sliding photo show right here in the middle of the page, which is a focal point, and it's extremely visually interesting, and it basically sets up the whole premise of the page. And so that's gone once I strip those images out. The next thing I did was I set up the style sheet for the CSS style sheet. I basically stripped down the website just to its basic CSS. And so you can see that here. Basically, all you see is the links. You see some text. Here's another view. That search docket that I like so much on the far right of the page is basically a list of drop-down menus, and there are a whole bunch of links that can take you to where you need to go. You can still navigate with this site even without the pretty colors and slideshows and photos, but it's pretty uninteresting to look at and quite boring. So the function is still there, but the form, the quality, the way it looks is not necessarily there at this point. This is how the entire CSS style sheet looks. The other two photos that I just showed you were actually when I stripped down the website to only CSS. This is how the style sheet looks, and I'm not that great with code, but you can see that it's intricate. This is basically how the website looks, when it's on a server. It's not in its full capacity right here. It is basically just text, and there's the link to the website, and that's basically it. So that's the style sheet right there. Let's go back to our pretty website. This is the way it looks again. When everything is in place and everything's good to go. It's got the pretty colors, the slideshow, the search docket, the links. Everything is laid out so nicely. The next thing I did was I stripped the images and the colors. of the site. So this is how it looks without images or color. I stripped down, one by one, and then I decided to just look and see how it would look with both the images and the colors gone. It's pretty boring. It looks almost like when you just view CSS, it's just basically links. There's the drop down menu on the right hand corner of the website, and that's basically it. You don't see any of the sliding photos or any of the pretty colors. It's basically just the links, but it still kind of maintains the integrity of the site as far as the layout. You can still see the navigation bar at the very top. You can see the second navigation bar sort of at the top left hand of the site, and you can see basically where the links are when the site is at its normal capacity is basically where they are here. It's not stripped down completely, but the colors and photos are gone. Again, here is our pretty website with everything still intact. This is the way that the website looks when when I do a tool called small screen rendering, which basically shows how a website looks on a mobile phone. So this is basically how it looks on your cell phone, on your iPhone, or your Droid. This is basically how it looks on my BlackBerry. It's pretty much the same site and the same layout. The only thing that's different is that the slideshow is not sliding, and also the site is a little bit more squished in. I guess that's not a very technical term, but it's smaller so that it shrinks down to fit a small screen, and so this is the site as it would look on a mobile phone. This is the way the site looks when I do a tool called linearize, and basically what that means is that stacks all of the elements of the page on top of each other. So you can see that the navigation bar is on top. There's a search bar right under that where the slideshow would have been. That's where it is. It's not sliding or showing right now. And then you've got the rest of your links just basically on top of one another. That's it for our Norwegian Cruise Line site. Again, that's the way it looks when everything is all intact and I haven't used any tools to change the layout or the look. Again, I think this site is very functional and also very appealing to look at. The next site that we're going to look at is P&O Cruises, and for the record, I do not really like the overall function or form of this site. I think that it looks pretty busy and cluttered, and it's not very appealing to look at. I don't immediately think of booking a cruise with them. I've talked about this in my essay, but if the focal point, which is the big photo in the middle, it has the navigation bar basically in it. It has ad, it has a link to an ad, it has the docket where you can search, and it also, the next part of the site, which is this white block that says Discover a Different World with P&O Cruises, is basically infringing on the space of the focal point, so your eye just doesn't really know where to look. And so I have, issues with this site. But we're going to do the same thing that we did with the Norwegian Cruise Line site, and we're going to strip away each element. The first thing that I did here was strip away the color palette. So all of the colors are disabled in the site. So right now, basically, the background is white, and the navigation bar that was at the top, you can't see it at all. It was like a white block, and all of the letters were blue. And then for the site or the page that you're on, it will change to like a gold color, which is kind of in the color scheme of the site. So right now, you're not seeing any of that. You're seeing none of the white blocks. This text is black, except for the links to the far right top of the page. Everything looks pretty difficult. I think this basically shows if you don't put the blocks of color behind the text, that it really makes it even more confusing to look at. It doesn't show good technique in how the site is set up. And so I think that, this just further iterates my point that the color palette really makes the website even more cluttered. And so if you take that away, it just basically does the same thing again. It's completely cluttered, it's hard to look at, and the focal point is just very confusing. The next thing that I did was I stripped away the images. So right now you see the color, you see the blue in the background, you see the dark blue on top, but that big focal point is gone. You don't have any of the ads that were below the cruise offers text right there on the far bottom right of the page underneath the search docket. That search docket looks pretty messy, and again, the text is having some issues. The navigation bar is completely gone. I don't really see anything, and where the ads should be, the text is kind of all over the place. You see that the very top left of the page, it says early booking spectacular. That is an ad that was in the photo, and it would look like a little wheel to a ship. Well, that's gone. The cruises to the Southampton is basically all squished to the side. That was a photo. The Winter Sunfly Cruises, that was a photo. So those three stacked on top of each other at the right hand side of the page where the search docket should be, those were photos. So everything is kind of, it's looking pretty plain and pretty hard to navigate at this point. The next thing I did was take away the images and the colors, which you can see here. Again, it looks very cluttered, white background. There's links and it's navigational. You can still use it, but as far as form, it's not as appealing to look at, even though the site itself is not that appealing. But right here you can see how it would look without the images or the colors. This is how the site looks on your mobile phone. It's pretty small. I'm sorry, this is actually your CSS. I apologize for that. This is the CSS of the site. When I just view the CSS and nothing else, this is the way the site looks. It's, like I said, still navigational, but it's not very pretty to look at. This is the style sheet for P&O Cruises. There, as you can see, there's the code that writes out the site. What I noticed here was that this code was a lot less complicated than the NCL, the Norwegian Cruise Line website, and so I think that it contributes to the look of the site and the navigation of the site. Again, this is our P&O Cruises website, the way it looks when everything is all together. Again, you can tell that the colors and everything and the busy focal point just make it very hard to look at and to navigate, in my opinion. This is how P&O Cruises looks on your mobile phone. I apologize earlier, I said that the CSS was how it looks. This is how it looks. It does look similar to when you just view the CSS. But basically the logo is at the very top. You've got the links to all of the offers and the contact page. Basically their navigation bar is stacked on top of each other. You've got the big focal point right under that, and then you've got your different offers below that. And so basically it's shrunk down. It's more navigational for a smaller phone and smaller device like an iPhone, Droid, BlackBerry, etc. This is how P&O Cruises looks when it's linearized. So everything is stacked on top of each other. You've got the logo and the bar, and then you've got the focal point, and then right under that you've got the search docket that used to be on the far right corner of the site, and below that you've got the rest of the elements of the site just kind of stacked on top of each other. Again, this is P&O Cruises' front page with nothing stripped away. I have basically stripped away all of the web elements of two sites, Norwegian Cruise Line and P&O Cruises, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation and are able to see how design really affects the function of a website and how it appeals to customers, how it appeals to people using it, and I really think that this is a really great tool to kind of show you how websites are designed, made, and how people navigate them.